taking a peek at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Lincoln Aviator. And this is the all-new model. So in this video, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know. The steering wheel inside of the Aviator is power telescoping. So down by your left knee, there's a switch there. You can go up, down, in and out in order to find that perfect position for you. Once you find it, release the switch and you're good to go. It's also heated. Inside of the infotainment system, there's a button that you can push in order to adjust your seats, but you can also turn on the heated steering wheel, and it's heated all the way around. There are so many different things that you need to know about the Aviator, so let's go simple. There's a voice command prompt there that you can utilize in order to activate your built-in Google Assistant, because this is the all-new infotainment system built off of Google operating system instead. But if you want to walk through on the screen, you'll find it down below. So you can push there. You can also say, "Hey Google," and that's going to turn on your assistant that way instead, which is kind of cool. The vehicle has paddle shifters, so minus on the left-hand side, plus on the right-hand side, so you can drop down gears in order to slow down. Or if you wanted to get some extra engine speed to speed up, you've got that option. But if you want to walk through, like you actually want to know how to use paddle shifters, you'll find that little walkthrough video down in the description. The stick on the left-hand side is obviously for your blinkers. You can flash your high beams out as well. But I'm in the auto light mode. So down by your left knee, there's a different switch that you can use in order to adjust your mode. In the auto mode, you can also turn on your auto high beams. And what that means is that if the vehicle recognizes they're necessary, it's going to turn the high beams on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it turns them off before turning them right back on again. But if you want to permanently lock your high beams out, go into the top headlamp mode. And when you do that, you can push away to permanently lock your high beams out, pull towards you in order to turn them off. There's also a button on the tip of the stick, and that's for your lane keeping system. So that works 3 different ways. Way number 1, if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, it's either going to give you a steering wheel shake. Way number 2, it'll nudge you back into your lane. Way number 3, it's going to do a mixture of both. But that's all based off of how you have it set up inside of the system here. So your driver assistant settings with your lane keeping system. So there are different options available there. Stick on the right-hand side is going to be for your wipers. You've got your front wiper control there. If you're in the auto wiper mode, you can also use the switch here in order to say how fast the rain is hitting the windshield. Go into one of the hyper modes instead. There's a button on the tip of the stick in order to turn on your rear wiper. You're going to pull towards you for the front wiper fluid and then push away to get that rear wiper fluid going instead. And then so many different buttons. So you could, if you've got presets set up, go this way in order to be able to adjust your presets. You can also do a push and hold in order to seek instead. But honestly, your best bet, 97.7 FM.
Okay, streaming 97.7 FM.
Your best bet is just to adjust that way instead. It's so much easier. Along this side, you've got a few different options as you're navigating through the little the cluster screen, but I'll touch on that in a second. So you've also got this button here, and that's going to be for your cruise control. So you can toggle it on there, and that's going to show you a few different things here, along with the available head-up display. And the head-up display, nice and subtle. But before I get there, when you've got the cruise control system turned on, you could set your speed and then increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time. You can push and hold up in order to go to the nearest 10, essentially, kilometers per hour, or up 5 miles per hour, I should say. And then you can go down 10 kilometers an hour or 5 miles per hour by pushing and holding. So if you're at, let's say if you set your speed and you're at 37 kilometers an hour, push and hold up will bring you to 40, then 50, then 60, etc. It works the opposite for minus. Along this side, it's going to be your distance indicator. So it's how close or far are you away from the vehicle that's in front of you. I want you to think of that one like a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi type of a rule. I personally find level 1 is fine on residential streets. I'm usually in level 2 on the highway, but that's going to be a matter of personal preference. You can hit the brake to pause your speed. You can hit cancel to pause your speed, and then just resume to resume your previously set speed instead. But there are 3 different types of cruise control. You've got normal cruise, which is exactly that. If you set it at 100, it's going to keep you at 100. If there's a car in front of you, it's not braking. With adaptive, if there's a car in front of you, you got it set at 100, it'll automatically slow you down. If they change lanes, you change lanes, or they pick up speed, it's going to pick you back up to your previously set speed. And then there's also BlueCruise, strictly on highways and interstates, but if the vehicle has it available, so if it's available on this road that you're on, it's full hands-free driving. So it's going to control not only the steering wheel, but also the gas and the brake. So you really don't have to do anything but pay attention, because there are cameras there that are going to watch your eyes. So it is complete hands-free driving, and it is so good inside of this ride. But if you want a full walkthrough on using the adaptive cruise control system, seeing it done in person, you'll find it down in the description of this video. And then from there, you've got a few other buttons here. So you've got one to navigate through some different pages, and then you've got a few different options here to navigate through some different settings. But one other thing I'm going to point out is that inside of your display, you've also got the option of adjusting your theme. So there are 4 unique themes that are available. It changes out the color, and it just makes it a little bit more subtle and kind of cool at the same time. So there are 4 different options that are available that you can adjust inside of the infotainment system. So the cluster screen itself is straightforward. You can see what gear that you're in, whether that's park, reverse, neutral, drive, whatever the case may be, back to park again. One cool thing is that if you're outside of park, so in any other gear, if you turn the vehicle off, it's going to automatically flip you back into park instead, which is pretty neat. You can see your current engine temperature, what your current odometer is, along with your fuel gauge, and then how many kilometers or miles you are to empty. You've got your speedometer there as well. And then if you've got your lane keeping system turned on, turned off, etc., you're going to see that it just kind of opens things up a little bit more. So with these systems turned on like this, with adaptive cruise control, it's just going to make it look a little bit different as you've got different settings enabled or disabled. You can see there your current road speed, your current vehicle speed, along with the outside temperature. And then you've got some different pages here that you can adjust by pushing this button. So trip counters, fuel economy. Fuel economy is horrendous right now because I'm just stopped doing an explainer video, but you can push and hold anything that says that in order to be able to reset. So it's very subtle when it does it, but it just resets it out. And that's the same thing even with your trip counters. So if you've got a trip counter going, you can just push and hold in order to reset it that way instead. And then one other nice thing is that if you've got a route going, so let's go ahead. I've searched for addresses a second ago. Look at that. Full mapping cluster, which looks so good. But as you have a route going here as well, look at that. How cool is that? So you've got full map and cluster capabilities. And then if you're on any of the other sub screens, you get little turn-by-turn directions instead. So when you're in the map view, full map and cluster in a second, it'll just take a minute in order to be able to switch it out. But I mean, that looks so good. So good. And then another neat thing is that as you've got a route going, it also shows you inside of your head-up display. So it shows you your turn-by-turn directions there, along with what street you're currently on, your vehicle speed, your gear, whether or not the lane keeping system's turned on, your vehicle speed, and the current time. So it's a really robust and extremely comprehensive system. And then canceling out just brings you into this mapping cluster view instead. I love that view. I would stick with that one, but that one's going to be a matter of personal preference. And then you've got a rocker switch along the right-hand side, and that's going to let you do a few things. So you switch over, then you've got the option of adjusting whatever audio sources are available. So if there was a USB stick that you're using, you wanted to switch to Sirius XM, AM, FM, etc., you'd have the flexibility to be able to do it. And all you're doing is pushing over OK in order to change it out. It's actually really straightforward, but you can see it changing down there. But I mean, honestly, your best bet, push the voice command prompt or say, hey, Google, in order to be able to change stations that way instead. You can push up in order to get to your compass view, back to your map view, pushing over to get to your phone if you had one connected, and then down for some additional settings specifically for the head-up display and your basic display. So you can toggle the head-up display off if you'd like to. You can also adjust out some things in the head-up display. So you can adjust the brightness of the display if you'd like to. So you could adjust it, make it brighter, darker, etc. From here, if we jump into our position, you can also move it up or down. If you wanted to make it easier to see, you could also rotate it. So it's kind of neat. If you are sitting in a slightly different way, you've got the flexibility to adjust it there and figure out which content is shown. So do you want your driver assistance settings showing, your fuel levels and things like that as well? And then back. And then one not so nice thing is that if you wear polarized sunglasses, it's very, very tricky to see the head-up display, even at maximum brightness. There's some other basic info. Do you want to show your speed in kilometers, miles per hour split? Obviously, if you were in the States, you'd have kilometers per hour instead. And then you can also show a tachometer, which, I mean, I love it. So if you'd like that view instead, and then as we hop out and we go into, actually, let's go one of these other views instead. There we go. So you've got your speedometer, tachometer, things like that. So you can kind of customize the screen a little bit. I love that you've got different themes that are available. You've got your oil life. You can change the display out and things like that as well. Just a matter of personal preference. Like, which information screens do you want showing up here? So do you want a basic calming screen? Do you want 2 trip counters? Do you want to show your vehicle pitch and roll? Things like that. So as we hop home, we go into our different pages here. You've got your different screens that we've now added on. So tire pressure's there. You've got your vehicle pitch and roll. You can see what your current steering angle is like. There's the basic map view, and then into a more calming view instead. Hold on, watch this. Takes a second to kick in, but it just makes it really, really simple instead. So if you're not a fan of having it busy on the screen, then you can kind of adjust this out and really make it your own. So I know that that is a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen, with one exception, and that's that once you have your steering wheel set up the way that you'd like to, set up your driver's seat the way that you'd like to, and your side view mirror the way that you'd like, you could then push and hold either 1, 2, or 3 in order for it to remember your own personal profile. So again, very, very useful if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle. But that's everything that you need to know about the steering wheel and the cluster inside of the Lincoln Aviator.